Okay, RPG a day 17. What is the funniest game that I've played? I was thinking about all the different games that I've played that I can remember after, spending about only like 10 minutes thinking about it. I'm going to probably go with a game that I ran. It was a D&D 5th edition game called Medicine for the Queen. It was a one-shot. And the plot was like a halfling farmer went to the Dungeon Delvers Guild and asked for adventurers to help him deliver a special medicine to a queen, which was unspecified, because they were getting attacked and invaded. And so the party of adventurers went to his farmstead and everything looked normal. And then he took him out to the back and he had a giant beehive, a big thing. And so they were all confused for a moment. And then he gave them this tiny little vial potion to go and give to the queen bee. And then he magically shrunk them down to tiny little people. And then they could go inside the beehive. And they was getting attacked by wasps. And so they had to fight a bunch of bee folk people and go inside a big honey-filled dungeon of a beehive. And it was very funny. It was kind of a comedic one-shot. One of the players was playing Midas the Barbarian, who was a minotaur and covered in like oil and grease and very strong, and it was just really a funny game. That video unfortunately got deleted, so it's not on the channel anymore, but that was the perfect mix for me of it being it was silly and comedic, and so it was fun, but also I really enjoyed running it mechanically. Like, it was an actual dungeon that I wrote for it, so there were challenges and there was combat and stuff, but the whole scene of them being tiny little people fighting bees and wasps was really funny. And then at the end, when they met the queen and gave her the medicine and she was healed and stuff, that was a really funny scene too. I remember there being a lot of high-pitched squeaky voices and people trying to respond in like high-pitched squeaky voices to converse with the queen, and I think somebody got knighted. So that was a fun game. Other fun games that have happened, I already kind of mentioned that one game where we were playing as the villagers in Dungeon Crawl Classics, and we wound up going on an alien spaceship and finding Thor's hammer, Captain America's shield, lightsabers, and that was a funny game too, because it was just the nature of who we were. The villagers were kind of dumb, and so finding out like how the traps worked and being a little frivolous with our we all had 4 of these commoner villagers. It was funny. So just kind of going through a meat grinder with them. But I'd say for the funniest game that I've run, I think probably Medicine for the Queen, which happened to be a bee queen, and everybody was tiny. So anyways, see you tomorrow. Hello, it's RPG a Day 2023, day 18, catching up for my favorite system. Keyword system. First thing I wanted to say is, for every type of game that you're wanting to play, whether it's fantasy, adventure, dungeon crawling, horror, anything like that, I think each kind of category, there's a lot of games out there that can capture those vibes for a game really well. I think for my entire role-playing kind of history, I really have enjoyed the D20 style, roll high, add bonuses, modifiers, that D&D put together, the D20 system. But even for like the Star Wars role-playing game that I used to play, I really do enjoy a D20 system. However, it's no longer my favorite. That really would be, and I think for fantasy adventure, I still think it's really good. But right now, my favorite system is not a D20 system. It is the Ubiquity system, which I'm sure everybody saw that coming. I happen to have Hollow Earth Expedition with me. That is a really fun game system. Of course, I played a lot of Quantum Black. I've ran a campaign with that. and I would love to play so much more, but the simplicity and the skill-based system of the Ubiquity system is really what makes it my favorite. I really want to actually try to run a fantasy game with Ubiquity. I've done the Ronin trilogy, which is kind of a homebrew fantasy-ish sort of game, but I want to actually run something that's a little bit more vanilla fantasy using Ubiquity and see kind of how that goes. I think it's also great for period role-playing. So like I played in the All for One game, which was set in kind of the Revolutionary War, the Colonial Gothic campaign that Adam ran, and that was really fun. I think just the standard 1930s for a hex game is really fun. And then there's All for One. I've watched Runeslinger's live play with the All for One Regime Diabolique, where they're musketeers, and I just really like actual real world settings with a twist. That's, I think, what my favorite is right now, and this system really supports that well. So the Ubiquity system, yep. Hello, it's RPG Day 2023. It's day 19, catching up. What is my favorite published adventure? For those who know me, I don't really run published adventures, hardly ever. I find it a lot easier to create my own content than to try to follow the path from an adventure module. I really like the players to have the freedom to do whatever they want, and if they go outside the bounds of the published adventure, for me that creates a lot of stress as the GM, trying to figure out how do I move things around so that the plot all kind of leads to the same point. And I know not all adventure modules are like that, and I'm sure if I put practice into it I would get better, but really I just prefer to plan like a session in advance, or maybe a little bit more than that, have bullet points of things that are happening, what the players do, what the players want to do, and then the world just progresses based off of whatever they're doing or not doing. And then it's just the world just kind of continues to cycle. And if the adventure module says that they need to go here to find a clue, and they do not go there to find the clue, what do you do? I'm just really not that good at that kind of adventure path. So I really don't use a lot of adventure modules. But that said, to answer the question, I do have a definite favorite adventure module that I own and that I was very excited to get, and it actually was an incident around the Christmas holidays, because I bought this without when Rebecca was going to buy it for me, and so she was kind of upset about that. But this is D&D 5th edition's Tomb of Annihilation, and this is really a fabulous setting. To me, I kind of treat it more like a setting book, where I really love the land of Chult, where it's hot, it's jungle, it's zombies in the forest, there's dinosaurs around, there's an evil lich with a death curse. All those things are very enticing, and for me, inspiring. So the way that it's set up also is it's more like just a bunch of locations. I should have used my other phone, because I guess iPhones don't, you can't flip the camera around when you're recording, which is dumb. But let me just very crudely flip this over. Here's Firefinger Mountain, or Firefinger Tower. So it's got a little map. It's got some details, level 1, 2, 3, 4. The Terrafolk are like bird people, and it's those kinds of locations that I just love. I could take that and drop it into my game, whatever I wanted to do. And this isn't really part of it being a plot. I mean, the plot for this campaign for Tomb of Annihilation is you're supposed to eventually stop this death curse and go into the evil lich's lair, and it kind of turns into kind of a meat grinder a little bit at the end. It's very dangerous and stuff, but this book is full of treasures that I can take and put into another game if I wanted to. I once ran a few games. My idea was it could have been like a really fun campaign, but the execution was a little iffy. But I had a series where you were playing botanists. It was called Botanists of Chult. And it wasn't so much they were botanists, but like they were like, it was, you're supposed to go and get a bunch of like samples of everything, map the rivers, get plant life samples, record what kind of animals you're seeing there. It's kind of like a research team that was sent into the jungles. And I still think that would be a fun game to do, but it's not really following the plot line of this. It's just taking the setting, taking the maps, the resources, and putting it into another game idea. So I really like things like this, where it's a really rich city with factions and stuff, and it gives you there's an adventure path to follow, but you don't need to use that. You can just take what you want and put it into your own game. And for sure, even now, even though I don't really play D&D anymore, this book is still full of a lot of great stuff. So that's my favorite adventure module. Okay, it's RPG Day 2023. The question is, will still play in 20 years' time, with the keyword being 20. I presume this question is I'm interpreting it to mean, will I still play in 20 years, or what will I still play in 20 years? I've already said I'll play RPGs my whole life. I love RPGs, and in fact, it'd be really amazing to create content for RPGs if I had the time to do it. And one day, hopefully I will. But what would I be still playing in 20 years? Out of all the RPGs that I own, like I said the other day, my favorite is the Hollow Earth Expedition. Like I said, I've got that book right here. The Ubiquity RPG game system, I can see being one of the greats that I would come back to all the time, because you can take the system for the game and put it onto whatever genre of game that you want to play, and I think it works pretty well. I'm still trying to iron out what I think is the best magic system within Ubiquity, because each of the books have their own variants, and so hopefully I can kind of lock something in that I really like the best. So I just need to kind of read through them a little bit more and figure that out. But I also don't think I'm going to be limited to just one RPG over the next 20 years. I would think this is one of the greats I would come back to, but there's so many other games that are constantly coming out, ones that I'd like to try, ones that I'm sure I will grow to love. So if I were to choose one game system that I predict I will still play in 20 years, it'll be the Ubiquity games. Because there's also, that kind of covers a lot. You've got All for One, you've got Quantum Black, you've got Hex, you've got Desolation, and then anything homebrew that you want to use it for. So yeah, Ubiquity.